Hi, and welcome back to my podcast, Between Light and Dark. Yeah, sorry, it's going to take me some time to get used to talking like this again because I used to have a podcast, but I stopped a few years ago and it feels kind of weird to be doing this again, but with video. Okay, so yes, we're going to be talking about objectivity and subjectivity within the arts, but predominantly within film, and just sort of a casual conversation about my thoughts on that concept and whether we can actually have an objectively good film and what that actually means, what that looks like, how would we assess that, or whether we should just, embrace subjectivity and just, that's how it is. So yeah, I kind of was thinking, I tend to think about this topic quite a fair bit, to be honest, because I'm always looking at reviews, looking at ratings on films on Letterboxd. My username, if you're interested, will be attached to this somewhere if you're interested in looking at what I'm watching. But I can't say you'll agree with me. But yeah, I'll look at reviews and ratings, and then I'll go and watch the film, and I'm like, I do not see the hype. And this has been happening fairly recently because I keep watching these kind of more artsy movies. So I've watched recently Paris, Texas. So yeah, I was so excited. I've been recommended to watch it a lot of times by different people. I see stuff about it everywhere. I was so hyped to watch it, and I watched it and I was literally like, okay, I'm gonna try and be nice, but I did not find anything interesting in it at all. It just didn't click for me, and I was like, I felt bad because I genuinely wanted to like it. And that leads me on to a different point about, maybe I'll make a different episode about this, the art of the overhype, because there's something so special about just coming across a film. I watched just a few months ago, I just came across The Outrun. This was not very well known film, to be honest. It didn't really get much marketing, press, I didn't really see it around on social media either or in the film world, but I loved it so much. I loved Saoirse's performance. It just really clicked with me personally, and I just came across it randomly on Netflix, and I was just like, you know what, that seems kind of cool. I just watched the little trailer intro and I was like, I'll just give it a go. I ended up loving it, and it's in my top 20 films now. Whereas these kind of other films that are talked about often, or they're cited for different reasons, because they're objectively good films, but I just don't, I don't have that personal sort of element or personal connection, to them. And I get that a lot with these sort of highly rated letterboxed films. I think it may be slightly different for IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, but I often use Letterboxd for my watch list and stuff like that. And I just don't always get it. But yeah, I tend to kind of look at reviews and ratings beforehand, which I'm gonna stop doing now because it really it changes the whole experience of watching a film. It feels like, oh, I need to watch these films because I'm a cinephile and I feel like a fake. And so I've got this watch list of all these classic films. So I'm currently watching In the Mood for Love. I'm about halfway through. I watch films in halves, okay, don't judge me. I was very tired last night when I was watching, but I just didn't connect at all with the characters so far. And I know the director, I can't remember his name. Is it It's War Kong Wai or something like that. I'm so sorry. I just can't remember off the top of my head, and I can't be bothered to look up. But you know, the the classic, like, I know he's known for being like a vibey, like experiential sort of director rather than like story. That's fine. Like, there are a lot of films I love that don't really follow a plot. For example, Before Sunrise, that whole trilogy, I love it so much. But the thing is, I just came across them. I wasn't really like recommended it, I don't think. I just kind of like saw a clip and I was like, right, I really want to watch that. So I think there's something to be said for like looking at reviews and ratings before, rather than just, you know, it's like this weird sort of methodological way of watching and enjoying films, rather than just the more like flowy creative aspect of just discovering them. And you know, in a way, like, that's, I really miss that about DVDs and like, you know, even tapes and stuff. Like, I remember the days, you know, you'd wait like all day, record your favourite show or something. Like, I remember, like, I love Doctor Who. I'm the older Doctor Who, so like the 2001s. I love it. I still watch it. If you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. I mean, it's so nostalgic for me, so it might not be the same for you if you haven't watched it before. But anyways, we would like record them, and I'd just be so excited to watch. I'd watch them at the end of the day on like this CD or like recording device, and it just feels so depersonalized now because of these streaming sites, or because some people use other sites, which, you know, you feel kind of bad because you're not really giving the people that worked really hard on these films like the credit they deserve, because things are too expensive, or you don't, the film is not on your streaming service. Anyway, sorry, that was a bit of a rant, a bit of a tangent. But what I really wanted to talk about is objectively good films, and in my opinion, I would rather someone just come out and say, look, I love this film and these are the reasons why, or whatever, rather than this has these particular qualities and particular traits which make it a perfect film. Although the one film I'd actually say is like objectively good, 12 Angry Men. So I watched this, it was on my list for so long because I had heard, and it was in, I think, the top 10 like IMDb films of all time. I was like, this actually seems really good. But I had like no previous knowledge. I didn't know what it was going to be. I just went in blind, and I was like, I think if I showed any, like, I thought in my head, like, oh, if I showed anyone, they would love it. And then I watched it again, like, with my family, because I was like, family, you need to watch this amazing film. Like, it's such a classic. It's so good. And they liked it, but they did not like it as much as me. And I was like, kind of surprised, because I just assumed it was an objectively amazing, perfect film. And in my head, it is. But to other people, that is not their vibe at all. That is not their film. But the thing is, I guess objectivity is based on like this sort of majority kind of aspect of like many people rating and reviewing, and then they create consensus out of that. But that doesn't mean it's, you know, objective. Like, it's maybe more objective than other systems. But and then that leads me sorry, this is everywhere, I'm just sort of spouting out of my mouth, out of my brain. But this leads me to the next point of like, should art even be an objective thing to perceive, to judge? Because I don't think so. Like, I would rather it be personal and maybe be hit or miss with people, but show some real edge, some real character. Whereas I feel, for example, with Paris, Texas, I felt like it's trying to appeal to the masses in a way by just being so bland. And I'm so sorry if you like Paris, Texas. I really tried to get it, and I just didn't enjoy it. I've had this with a few films. The Substance, I really didn't like that. I actually have a new video up that went out this week, if you haven't watched it already, where I was comparing American Psycho to The Substance, about body image issues and appearances in society. But I just thought the substance was so melodramatic and overindulgent and just excess. It was just trying to do the most, and for me it didn't land, but for many people it did. But again, I watched it after all the hype, after the Oscars had been, after she got nominated for an Oscar. I watched loads of video essays about it, even though I hadn't watched it, because I was so intrigued. And that in itself became more appealing than the actual film itself. And this is where I think the struggle is of maybe potentially commentary and reviews and stuff. Like, I love it, and this is what my whole channel is about. But at the same time, I'm wary of what I'm saying and how I'm portraying these films, because this is all personal. You know, you can, I love creating like these sort of video essay things, but yeah, it won't land for everyone, and that's fine. But I praise and respect it more when you come at it from that angle, rather than saying, look, these are the facts, and these are the because it's got this lighting and this shot, and also I feel like, you know, the film industry in general has become too objective by, you know, saying, like, putting, like, for example, cinematography first rather than story, plot, you know, all these classic, like, rules, I don't know, like the classic storytelling rule has kind of gone out the window, and it's all about like free flowing like experiences, which is fine, and I like that when it's good. But when all of the films are just trying to comment on something or trying to be different, it's coming across as just not working for me. And this is where I struggle with the modern film industry at the moment. Is there are good films, not denying that. I mean, the technology we have is just amazing. The quality that we have for films, and the cameras, and again, yeah, cinematography, everything. But there's something that just hits different about older films that have that classic storytelling approach. For example, one of my favourite movies is not, I don't know if it is now, but a film that, I've probably spoken about this in my last podcast, but American Beauty was what really got me into film. And it was just such a beautiful movie to watch and experience. And it had like the classic, you know, main protagonist transformation from one version to the next version. But the thing is, the whole story was about discovering this transformation and discovering beauty within the experience, within the journey. And then I was like, whoa, that just clicked for me. Something about that just really clicked. And I wasn't expecting it to. That's the thing. Like, it just comes randomly sometimes. And that's the thing about like recommendations as well, is like, just because it worked for you, it might not work for someone else. And I have this often with like my friend, actually, one of my close friends. Like, we're very, very similar, but when it comes to film and music as well, it can vary. And sometimes like I'll recommend something to him and he won't like it, and I'll just be so surprised. I'm just like, what? Like, I loved it. And then the vice versa, like, he loved the substance, and I was like, what is this, you know? But yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty of art, is like that none of it is objective. Even when you think, you know, the classical, like, you know, more religious art, I love that. And, you know, that was a certain point in time trying to recognize the beauty of religion, and portray that through artistic means, whereas now it's more about expression, and it's more about you, in a way. Like, I feel like we've gone from like a selfless society into more of a selfish, sort of self-absorbed one. And this is also why I really didn't like The Substance, was because it was just so self-oriented, so self-involved, reflecting the culture that we now live in. So that was a big rant, but yeah, I hope some of it made sense. It was kind of everywhere, but that's just what has been on my mind recently, and I just wanted to chat about it. But yeah, do you think they're objectively good films, or do you think they're all subjective and we should just embrace that, or do you think we shouldn't embrace that? Because I think, you know, there's a line to that subjectivity, because when you're not really making any points and you're just kind of saying whatever you want without any sort of guidelines, it can be messy, it can be not very clear, not very good. Then what is good, I guess? But you know, that's what I love about film so much, is that it's different for everyone. We can have these discussions. Everyone has different viewpoint, different background, coming different points in their lives, you know. But we're united through the arts, which is amazing. But yeah, I'm gonna watch the rest of In the Mood for Love and see if I like it, but I probably won't. Sorry if I've offended anyone, but yeah, I'm just coming at this from an authentic, genuine angle, and yeah, I don't really want to like hide away from being who I am. So yeah, if you enjoyed, please consider following, subscribing. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.